The Beatles have been cultural icons for many, many years. They have influenced many musicians, playwrights, and movies since the 50s. My parents grew up listening to the Beatles, and being a product of my parents, my father taught me everything he knew about them. The Fab Four have fascinated me, and I have studied this for so long, and I wish to share the facts and clues that prove the validity of Paul's death. DJ Russ Gibbs broadcasted on the radio that Paul McCartney died in a car accident 46 years ago. Hello everyone, my name is Wendy Freeman, and today I'm going to talk to you about how Paul died, how the band covered it up by finding a look-alike, and how to find the clues and proof in the music and artwork that prove that Paul is dead. The first thing to understand is how Paul McCartney departed from the Beatles. Paul died in a car accident. He stormed out of a recording session on the morning of November 9th, 1966 at 5 a.m. The road was slick, he wasn't paying attention, and he ran a red light and crashed his car. Paul McCartney burned to death in the car. The news of Paul's accident was never published by the media and was instead covered up, and he was subsequently replaced by a lookalike. William Shears Campbell replaced the real Paul McCartney in the Beatles. William Shears Campbell, also known as Billy Shears, won a lookalike contest in 1965 in Liverpool. Even the band members were baffled by how much he resembled Paul. He played the guitar like Paul, he looked like Paul, he had the same witty personality as Paul. Brian Epstein, the manager of the band, was behind the plan for him to replace the real Paul. Billy Shears went under the knife and had extensive plastic surgery to look like the identical and deceased Beatle. He even had the same exact scar put on his top lip to resemble Paul McCartney. After a few years, the band members started putting clues in many albums and artworks in lyrics for the fans to start figuring out the truth behind the lie that Paul was still alive. The albums proved the death and the clues in the songs and artwork. If you play some of the albums, such as Revolution Number 9 from the White Album, John says number 9, number 9, number 9, but if you play the album backwards, John is saying, "Turn me on, dead man." On the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band album cover, Shiva, the Hindu god, is pointing at Paul. Shiva is the destroyer. Cover photos show hints of Paul being deceased, such as Abbey Road. And he and the other band members are portrayed as walking to a funeral. The license plate reads 28IF, meaning Paul would have been 28 years old if he would have lived. The Let It Be album cover, Paul's background is blood red, and everyone else is white. Paul is also the only one facing forwards. Everyone else is facing off to the right. It is also shown that they chose Let It Be as the album cover song because it was the last one that they chose to say, okay, let's leave this alone. Let's let it be, if you will. And it was also kind of a coincidence because Paul died in a car accident, and Mother Mary came to him like he was going off to heaven, so in his hour of darkness, Mother Mary came to him. The list goes on and on and on. There are so many clues, and there's so much information out there that shows that Paul McCartney is in fact dead, and Billy Shears did replace him. Paul McCartney did not start Wings. Billy Shears did. Paul McCartney did not marry Linda Eastman. Billy Shears did. Paul McCartney died in 1966. Billy Shears replaced him. I've told you how the real Paul McCartney passed away in late 1966 in a terrible car accident and was replaced by an imposter, and how the clues are revealed in all the record albums. When Paul died, there was too much at stake for the Beatles to disregard and disband, and the show had to go on. The band continued on by hiring a fake Paul and replaced the deceased, and continued on with Beatlemania, and let the world just keep on rolling. The Beatles and Brian Epstein started planting clues for the fans to see the truth, so that they would know and understand. There are even video diaries of George Harrison recordings about Paul's death before he passed from cancer. There are pictures of the aging differences between all the Fab Four and how they have changed throughout the years, and how all of a sudden after 1966, Paul changes completely, and he is not the same person at all. There's proof that the records before 1966 of Paul's recordings, his voice is completely different from the records afterwards. There's so many facts out there that state that Paul has passed and that Billy Shears replaced him. And the real Paul McCartney passed away, and Billy Shears is an imposter.